Hi, Marie here from Pottery Crafters. In this video, I'm going to try 5 different glaze combinations to give you an idea of some combinations that you can try, which you can never have enough of those. Follow along and you'll see how I glazed them and how they turned out. All the supplies used in this video are listed for you below in the show notes. First, I'll go over a few steps before glazing to help you improve the odds of the glaze turning out. Before you start glazing, it's always best to make sure your hands are clean and dry. Or wear gloves. Wipe the bisqueware with a clean damp sponge to get any ceramic dust off that may interfere with the glaze. Mix the glaze well. This Hamilton blender works really well. If the glaze doesn't contain any crystals, put the glaze through a strainer to avoid getting any clumps of glaze or debris on your pottery. Don't want that. Apply wax resist or film resist to the bottom of the bisqueware. I'm applying film resist. They both work well. With wax resist, if you make a mistake, the glaze won't melt into the pot. Film resist is water-based, but you do have to remove it from the pottery before you fire it. I do all of this because it does make the glazing process easier. Let's start glazing. For this first bowl, I'm using Amaco Honey Flux, Mayco Lavender Mist, and Mayco Celadon Bloom. I'll start with Amaco Honey Flux, using a fan brush to apply the glaze. Apply the first coat to the outside of the bowl. The glazes I chose felt like they would be a soft, pretty combination. I'm applying a coat of iron luster to the bottom of the bowl only. The glaze helps with insulation. Plus, I have a gallon of iron luster and only a pint of honey flux. Let this dry. Apply a second coat to the outside of the bowl. I like using a fan brush because it gives a nice even coverage and makes it easy to brush around the bowl. Let it dry. Apply a coat to the inside of the bowl. I really like honey flux for layering because it can help the other glazes move and blend together. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the inside of the bowl. Apply the glaze as evenly as I can. Let it dry. Now apply a third coat to the inside of the bowl. I'm brushing the third coat on the inside to get the glaze moving a little more. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Mayco Lavender Mist. First coat on the top half of the bowl. On the outside, lavender mist is such of a soft glaze. And the inside. I want enough on the bowl to get the glaze to flow, but not too much. That's why I'm only glazing the top half of the bowl. Let this dry. Apply a second coat to the top half of the inside of the bowl. Let it dry. To finish this glaze combination, I'm adding Mayco Celadon Bloom. Applying only one thick coat on the inside of the bowl. I'm using the number 4 size Mayco brush. I'm really liking it and holds a lot of glaze for such a small brush. Then applying only one thick coat to the outside of the bowl. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist and fire to cone 6. Let's see how it turned out. I love how the colors melted together, giving it a soft look. The honey flux helped everything move. And you can see the soft breaks where the glazes met. Beautiful lavender, white, and blue with a touch of orange that came from the honey flux. I love how the glaze created a beautiful light blue pool in the middle of the bowl. The outside looks nice too. I didn't apply as much glaze, so it didn't flow down as much, giving the celadon bloom room to bloom. I love the crystal patterns it created. I think this is a beautiful combination. I will be using these glazes together again. Let's check out the next combination. For this cat dish, I'm using Speedball Dragon Stone and Speedball Dragon's Eye. I'll start with Speedball Dragonstone. Apply the first coat on the outside of the dish. I want to make sure I get the glaze in the outline of the cats to keep the cat detail showing on the dish. Let it dry. Apply a coat to the inside of the dish. This Speedball Dragonstone goes on nice and smooth. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the inside of the dish. I want the glaze to give me a nice smooth finish. And see what colors the Speedball Dragonstone produces. Let it dry. Now I'm sponging a little glaze off the outside so the cats will show. This helps bring the design out. Sometimes you need to take a little glaze off so the detail doesn't get lost. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Speedball Dragon's Eye, only on the outside of the dish, and not too thick. I'm keeping the glaze lighter because I still want those cats to stand out after firing. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist, fire to cone 6, and see how it turned out. This dish came out really nice. I'm glad I sponged some of the glaze off because the cat design shows nicely. The outside has a nice soft blue look with dark spots that give it some life. The glaze had some movement, but it still let the shape and details show. I wanted the glaze to add to the dish, but not cover it up. The inside has a beautiful aqua color with smaller dark bursts of color, adding depth to the glaze. Very pretty cat dish. Let's check out the next glaze combination. For this next bowl, I'm using Mayco milk glass, Speedball Dragon's Eye, and Speedball Dragon Stone. I'll start with the Mayco milk glass. Apply the first coat to the outside of the bowl. Let it dry. Apply the second coat to the outside of the bowl. I have a feeling these glazes will give this bowl more contrast and movement. Let it dry. Apply a coat to the inside of the bowl. Milk glass does make a nice base glaze. It does give the next glazes more movement. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the inside of the bowl. This is a more translucent glaze, so it won't introduce much color to the bowl. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Speedball Dragon's Eye. First coat on the outside. I've seen pictures of this glaze and find the glaze to be a beautiful deep blue with almost black spots where the glaze is thicker. And inside. It should be interesting to see how the dragon's eye interacts with the translucent milk glass underneath. Let it dry. Apply the second coat to the outside of the bowl and the inside of the bowl. I may be taking a chance with 2 coats, but I am applying the glaze thinner. Let it dry. To finish this glaze combination, I'm using Speedball Dragonstone. Apply the first coat to the outside of the bowl, not glazing all the way down the bowl, about 3/4 of the way down, and the inside of the bowl, and not glazing at the very bottom of the inside of the bowl. I'm stopping short on purpose because I want some space for the glaze to break and move. Let it dry. Apply 1 more coat on the inside of the bowl. And again, not glazing the very bottom of the inside of the bowl. Now I've never done this combination, so I really don't know how the glaze will flow. And apply a second coat to the outside, about 3/4 of the way down. Not glazing the bottom area should give the glaze a little more room to move. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist. Fire to cone 6 and see how it turned out. This bowl came out bold and really pretty. Mainly deep blue, black, and white, with just a touch of aqua from the dragonstone. I like the contrast on this bowl. The glaze moved nicely and gave me some good breaking and layering. I really like how the rim and upper part of the bowl caught my eye first. And it really shows off the shape of the bowl. It's a fun combination if you want something with a little more depth. You can hit the like button anytime during this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And hit the bell icon to get notified whenever a new video comes out. Let's check out the next combination. For this jewelry dish, I'm using Amaco Albany Slip Brown, Amaco Honey Flux, and Amaco Iron Luster. I'll start with the Amaco Albany Slip Brown. Apply the first coat to the outside of the bowl. The Amaco Albany Slip Brown has a warm, earthy feel to it. Let it dry. Apply the second coat to the outside of the bowl. This glaze gives you a rich, warm, rusty color. Let it dry. Apply a coat to the inside of the bowl. I thought this glaze as a base would work really well on this dish. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the inside of the bowl. I'm keeping the inside nice and even. Let it dry. Apply a third coat to the inside of the bowl. I want the inside to have good movement for the glaze to flow. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Amaco Honey Flux. Apply a coat to the top half of the outside of the bowl and the inside of the bowl. Amaco Honey Flux is always fun to layer because it helps other glazes move more. Let it dry. Apply the second coat to the outside top half of the bowl and to the inside of the bowl. This Amaco Honey Flux has a soft white color with a hint of orange that complements most glazes. Let it dry and apply a third coat on the top half of the dish only. I'm keeping the Amaco Honey Flux more on the top half because I want the glaze to flow down but not pool too much. Let it dry. To finish this glaze combination, I'm adding Amaco Iron Luster. Apply one thick coat on the top half of the inside of the bowl. I'm using the Amaco Luster here just for an accent. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist, fire to cone 6, and see how it turned out. This dish came out warm and earthy. I really love it. It has such of a nice flow on the inside. I like the rusty orange, deep green, and white that the glazes produced, with a cool spot of orange right in the center of the dish. The outside is interesting also. You can see the layering, but it still produced a nice color combination. Good to know if you want to apply less glaze. I think this is a nice glaze combination. Let's check out the next glaze combination. For this small bulb vase, I'm using Spectrum Pearl White and Mayco Black Timber. I'll start with the Spectrum Pearl White. Apply the first coat to the outside only. I thought the Spectrum Pearl White and the Mayco Black Timber would look really nice together. Let it dry. I'm applying a second coat to the top half only. I'm only glazing the outside. I'm putting more glaze toward the top for more movement. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Mayco Black Timber. Apply a coat to the top half of this vase. The black timber should create that flowing look. Let it dry. Apply the second coat to the top half only. Now these glazes could really move because both of these glazes do flow. So I think I may be taking a chance by applying 2 coats. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist, fire to cone 6, and see how it turned out. It really did turn out beautiful. The glaze movement is gorgeous. I love the way the colors ran together. The problem is it flowed a little too much. I should have known the Spectrum Pearl White would move this much. She really loves to move. Well, I know that for next time. I love this little vase so much, I'm going to try and save it. When grinding off glaze, always wear a dust mask and safety glasses. Yes, bits of glaze have hit my glasses from time to time. Chip the vase away from the cookie and hope I don't break the vase. This is why I make kiln cookies. I have a post and a video on how to make kiln cookies. I left the link for you below in the show notes. Now grind the rest of the cookie and the glaze off the bottom. That looks nice and smooth on the bottom. Now the colors are stunning. Light and dark blues with white and gold peeking through. The Mayco Black Timber with the Spectrum Pearl White really makes this glaze flow beautifully. And with a little more room on the bottom, it would have turned out great. And with a taller vase, it would have turned out great. So I shall do this combination again, but next time on a taller vase. I'm glad I could give you some glaze combination ideas. And remember, you can always make adjustments if you want the flow to be more or less. I think the first bowl turned out beautiful with nice soft colors. I really like this combination. I will be doing it again. The cat dish kept the details and has a nice blue and aqua color to it. Now this combination flowed really nice. I did put a lot of glaze on it, but it didn't flow past the bowl. I do like the dragonstone and dragon's eye, and the honey flux did make it flow. I think it turned out pretty good. What do you think? The jewelry dish came out really nice too. I like the warm, earthy colors. This is a really nice combination. Now this little bulb vase turned out to be a beautiful runner, running a little too much. But it's actually my favorite combination, which I'll definitely be doing again, with this vase instead. What's your favorite glaze combination? Which one are you going to try? Let me know in the comments section below. You watching helps me to make more videos, like this one. For more glaze combinations, head on over to my 5 ways to glaze wavy bowls and my 7 flux glaze combinations. If you do, I get to play with more clay. Let's stay dirty.